today. We would like to introduce Professor Sidwani, who's been with us, has been very actively involved in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. She also leads the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Entrepreneurship that we do here. And we also have very interesting two founders who are, they need no introduction in the local ecosystem. So I have Mr. Vishal, who is the founder of Biryani by Kilo, and I have Mr. Nikhil, who leads Lahori Zeera. He's the founder of Lahori Zeera. And I would now hand it over to Professor Sidwani to interview them and let us know how their journey started and what do they think about what they're doing and how this whole ecosystem is taking shape. Today is the National Startup Day that we're celebrating, and thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Professor, and thank you, founders, for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumya. So without further ado, I'm going to start straight away with the questions. I mean, you both have built very, very successful brands. I mean, most of us in the room have probably experienced both your products, both Biryani by Kilo and Lahori Zeera. Could you take us back to the time when you started the journey? And we'll begin with you, Vishal, if you're okay.
Yeah, sure. So I started in 2015. It was the first outlet in Gurgaon. You want me to cover the journey?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
What was the inspiration, motivation, everything associated with it?
So you see, the inspiration is I come from a engineering background. Then I did my master's from US. I have been in, like I said, more pada likha business. Like I was in IT business. I was in a hedge fund. I was running a private equity fund in India. So I've seen things from an investor side also, but I always used to wonder during my sojourns in New York and Singapore why we don't have a F&B chain like a Chipotle or a McDonald's or even a Nando's, which is worldwide from India, despite India having a very rich food heritage. So, but as an investor and the logical person, some answers were clear that first of all, it's the depth of the market. Like Starbucks also today might have only 300 or so outlets in India, the depth of the market. And second, there is in categories like burger and pizza, there are of course incumbent leaders. Right? So Jubilant has done very well in India, and I've been a student of that company and very close contact with the management for last 20 years, the Domino's master franchisee. So in India, the delivery, because of very high capex in restaurants, and very high rentals as a percentage of revenue, it is important to have a category if you really want to scale, a delivery friendly category. So like a dosa is not delivery friendly and you can't really sell that much when you look at the depth of the category. So biryani, like Paradise, within Hyderabad city itself would do 200 crore revenue. So the depth is there in the category. It doesn't have an incumbent leader like burger or pizzas like Domino's, and it's a very delivery friendly product. And the only thing is no one has done the SOPs in a way that it can be made standardized from every outlet. So you don't need cooks in the system like a Pizza Hut or a Burger King. So that we were able to do. So the inspiration was, if I can come back, is to create a worldwide chain. We can take the India's cuisine, which is biryani and kebabs, in its most authentic way, in a systematic way, like with the SOPs, standardization and brand building. Not only to India, but to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Hi everybody. Sorry. So yeah, we started our journey about 5-6 years back. We are 3 co-founders. All of us are cousins, all of pretty much same age. We were in our late 20s when we started this, and we were, sitting together and brainstorming what can be done, and somehow we agreed to explore this beverage space. We all had same opinion about Indian beverage industry, that there's some freshness that is required. Same, all the beverage brands, Coke, Pepsi, all same flavors have been selling since God knows when ages, and all of them are synthetic drinks. So we agreed, and we read a lot about the beverage space. It looked promising to us. We read somewhere that it's been growing with a phenomenal CAGR year on year, and we wanted to create a product for masses, since India is population of 1.4 billion people. So from day one, it was very clear in our head that we want to create a product that everybody can afford, has a palate that everybody likes. So that's how we thought of making Lahori Zeera. Now and one more thing, we had very clear opinion that we wanted to create our own niche, never want to fight with the space of likes of Coke, Pepsi. We never wanted to make traditional colas. So we thought of exploring traditional Indian beverages, which are in principle a little bit more healthy than the synthetic drinks. So that's how we, planned for making this drink.
Great, thank you. Vishal, this one's for you. Every pot that you serve of biryani is uniquely made. I mean, you could have done the same paradise biryani concept, which is if it was about taking biryani to every doorstep. But you've kind of reverse engineered and brought the uniqueness with every pot being made exclusively in some sense for the customer, still being able to take it to their houses. Can you talk to us about that, please?
So I come back to authenticity here. See, in Hyderabad, a paradise or the traditional Hyderabadi players can make it in bulk, like 20 kg batches or 30 kg batches, and still sell it fresh in a way because it's consumed, biryani is consumed there for breakfast, lunch, dinner. People eat biryani 5 times a week, right? But as soon as you come out of Hyderabad, of course, it's occasional eating, maybe 2-3 times a month. So what we were very sure is we have to give it in the most authentic way, Indian way, the authentic way, because here we also have a burden of a few 100 years of tradition, how it has been made. We couldn't, so today also we do Hyderabadi, Lucknowi or Calcutta biryani. So they're made in the most authentic recipes, although we make it in through SOP systems and process, but the recipes are very authentic. So handi is also, first of all, very authentic. It's eco-friendly. It is what India stands for, eco-friendly. That's how it was traditionally made, first of all. Second, we make biryani only after the order comes. So the handi goes into the chula, the oven, only after the order comes. So it's made fresh. It takes us 20-30 minutes to fresh dum cook it. That too also after we have deployed a lot of technology over the last 6-7 years. So we do deliver it in 60-70 minutes. It takes a bit longer, but people do wait for it because they are getting authentic version. So when they open it, it's piping hot, it's fresh, it's what it's supposed to be. So in a nutshell, I think if I can show, we didn't want to compromise on what it authentically stands for, and it can only be done in a, so we by dum cooking fresh and making it in the handi, and we want to stand by that. Yeah.
And you've also introduced a lot of technology elements to kind of make that happen.
Yeah, so see, I think it's a combination of like science and spirituality, tradition and science here. So of course, there's a lot of technology in the back end, in systems, process, computers, screens, everything, AI analytic cameras also like for quality control, everything, monitoring process. Because see, we already 100+ outlet company in 40 cities, and we plan to take it international. So the technology plays a big role in terms of creating those standardization systems and processes.
Slightly cheeky question. Has anybody done a blind test and still been able to find out that all your pots taste the same?
Yeah, see, we do it all the time. It is like we do a lot of mystery audits and everything, and with other competitors, with our own products, we get biryanis from different outlets in blind tasting if people can find the difference. So see, I think here it's a bit scientific. If you standardize all the ingredients to the core, from water to rice to masalas to chicken to vegetables to everything, and the process is standardized, it is also, as long as you follow it, the output would be same. But it's easier said than done, but if you do it, the output would be same.
Cool. You briefly mentioned that it took you about 6 months to build the process and everything in place. Is there something that you would do differently in terms of that now?
No, I think that's very important, the back-end part, the 6 months part initially, because see, it's not, see, a lot of people can make biryani and good biryani, but can you make it same every time, I think, and so the customer promise is kept every time is the difficult part. So we wouldn't, there's no compromise on that, yeah.
Sure, thank you. Coming to you, Nikhil, you've entered into an extremely competitive consumer packaged space. And without any marketing, in some sense, you're making all the MBAs who are specializing in marketing redundant by saying, I've launched a product, but I haven't spent a penny on marketing in the initial years. Can you talk to us a little more about that?
So Indian beverage industry, it's more famously called as graveyard of brands. There are so many people eyeing for that premium segment, 50 rupee MRP pack, 60 rupee MRP pack, but there are hardly any people who are trying to give a quality product in a very affordable pricing. And we found somehow we were lucky to get our hero product on board. We never had to push it through. There was always a very strong recall value wherever it went. It was just a matter of placing it on shelf once, and it flew off the shelf everywhere. So it was very strong recall value. We never had to spend anything on marketing because we were always sold out. Up until last year, we our sales number was the function of our production capacity, production capability. So since we were always sold out, so we never felt there was any need of spending money on marketing, and we are kind of typical baniyas. We are happy to make money and instead of burning it.
Sure. So are you saying marketing is burning money?
If you are already being sold out, and it's difficult to handle orders in summers. But times change. It can't be like that forever. Since now we have ramped up our production capacities, we have very big state-of-the-art plants. So this year we have big budgets like other brands also, especially in new territories where we're launching a product.
Sure. Every journey has challenges. What's been your biggest challenge?
There are a lot of challenges. See, first of all, just to get people to accept that the delivery will be in 60 to 90 minutes is a big challenge. In today's time of 30 minutes delivery, blink it in 10 minutes. To explain to people that good things take time. A new line is fursat se. So I think we are saying everyone is running, in their lives. It's a time to take a pause when you enjoy a good meal. But it's challenging to, it's the antidote to today's life. So I think just to get people to accept the 60 to 90 minutes delivery frame, although we mostly deliver now in 60 minutes. And we also have one dine-in outlet per each city, like in Chandigarh, Mohali, very close to ISB campus, we have a dine-in outlet. But just to get that 60 to 70 minutes delivery time in people's, and for people to accept is a big challenge. And of course, in India, every state is different. So going to Hyderabad and Bangalore and selling biryani there where people have eaten biryani for hundreds of years is of course challenging to say that we are giving you the fresh biryani and this is better. So of course it's challenging. Yeah.
And how did you mitigate those? How did you mitigate those challenges?
So by being real, by being authentic again and again, to knowing your own truth and keep doing it again and again, and I think you will find enough people who will accept it.
Great.
For us, the biggest challenge was like finding talent who could believe in us and be as aggressive, transforming our culture of growth in new people that we hire. So when we were our top line was 80 CR, we were told going beyond this number is really, really difficult. You're putting up lines, but we did 150, 170. Then this year we did 100, 300. So somebody who could believe those numbers are not as big as they seem to be if you have a hero product. A lot of people tell us that you are a single product driven company. So what if somehow that essence dies or whatever? But even Coke, for that matter, they get their revenues mostly from their 20% product. They contribute to 80% of their revenues. So that transforming and telling them that this culture and this aggressiveness of our growth, that was like a bit of challenge in expressing that culture to our team when we hired them.
Sure. So coming to challenges, there's bound to be failures along with it. And they say failures teach us a lot more. So can you talk to us about a failure that you've had along the journey and how did you kind of put that behind you?
Well, there are failures every year in some way or the other, in life, in everywhere. So I'm thinking of something. So there are a lot of cities, outlets have been there. Like when we were coming Punjab also, people told us it's a butter chicken kebab place, who will eat biryani here? So you have to keep your... So failures also, I would flip the question to say, like let's say a Ludhiana outlet. It took us 2 years. So one of the outlets which took not to we broke even fast, but to get to a scale which we like, it took us much longer, because of course to getting a new cuisine. See, in the cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore, the challenge is not the depth of the market but the competition. But in, let's say, a place like Guwahati or a Ludhiana, the challenge is to get people to. But now, like everyone has heard, like Swiggy and Zomato are selling like 200 biryanis per minute. So I think so those challenges have been overcome. But I think when we were starting, and every year, like people will say कि इस city या state में तो नहीं होगा, आप आपने 6 महीने कर लिया, साल बाद नहीं होगा, move ahead, close it. So I think there are a lot of challenges and failures like that, but you have to finally turn them into successes by just stay resilient and staying patient here.
Any example, besides the Guwahati and Ludhiana, any outlet that you've shut down?
Not really, we have not really but shut down, but it's not never, but sometimes it can happen, but not till yet, yeah.
So you said you break even in about 2 months' time at every, 2-3 months at every outlet.
Yeah.
What is the max that you've given an outlet? Just building on the Ludhiana.
6 months. 6 months it takes. So then you have to do a bit of maybe recalibrating in some ways for 6 years. But challenges are, but see, like he said, HR is always a big challenge.
Sure.
It's not a failure, but it's a big challenge all the time. To get people to align to your vision, your level of speed and everything else. It's always a...
Sure.
It's new challenges every day. We've never done similar volumes. Like every month on month or quarter on quarter, we do new things, and there are new challenges every time. Even our product, we have, it's transformed since last 4 years. So now when we see our old packaging, we don't like it. So it's kind of an example that you have to learn every day, So, and sometimes the government, you need permissions to set up a unit, and you are as aggressive as it could be, because you have to calculate viability. You need your plant up and running. There are orders to be served, and you even make promises to people that okay, this is our target line, but somehow you fail to endeavor to those promises because of some government issues.
Sure.
So that's like one of our example which keep coming on the way.
Sure. Funding. The big question that most entrepreneurs kind of start off in many ways, that once I get funding, everything will be solved for me. So do you think funding, what is the right time to go for funding? What are the key questions an entrepreneur needs to ask? Whether they're ready for funding, when should they go for funding, what are the challenges? Because a lot of times funding with it brings a lot of challenges rather than just money. And it brings with it controls, it brings with it a whole lot of other stuff. So what would be your advice for someone and your learnings more importantly, since both of you have had external funding in that sense?
No, I think one should look at funding as a resource and not as, first of all, a starting point rather than an end point. And it's an ingredient for the business, like a product, good employees, good strategy. Funding is also one part of the whole thing and has to be put in that context. It cannot solve the problem of the product, good product or service. It cannot solve the problem of a bad strategy or a good employees or team. So it is only it has to be understood in the context of that it has a certain role and that's it. I'm not trying to trivialize funding, but that's all. So I think as long as you have a good product, service, good vision, good team, funding will happen. But you have to be careful, and of course less money is also, it's difficult without it to grow a business, and also, but more money is also as detrimental and can be, people burn money and then go to or put bad products or do things. So I think it's a resource and it has to be looked at as a resource. And of course, in terms of timing, depending on, but I would encourage people to go for funding as late as possible and keep working hard on the product and the service and the team and their own strategy, and go for it as and when, only when you need it and only to the extent you need it, so that it is only used as one ingredient to success, not like the winner, not like the pedestal we put it into.
Sure, thank you.
we ourselves, we were bootstrapped for like 5 years up until last year when we raised funds. So I believe when you have your own product, your own belief, and you have the right market fit, when you know your thing has worked in market, and you just need to multiply it, revamp it, that's the time when you should go for funding and when you need plenty of resources. Up until then, I think, rightly said, you should push as far as possible. You should create your own thing. And yeah, it comes with a lot of responsibility. There are distractions with funding. So your penny is, I guess, better when you use it, when you're doing trials and stuff like that. But once you find the right market fit and you just want to revamp things, that's the right time to go for it.
So would it be correct to say that, I mean, just summarizing what you guys have said, which is basically funding makes sense when you're only looking at scaling. Till before that, you need to just make sure your product is right, your market is right, your options are right.
No, more or less right. But see, let's say if there is a SaaS product, right? Let's say we are all talking about Chat GPT now, right? Everyone is talking about it, and Microsoft has invested. Of course, just to just to make that product will require a lot of funding.
Sure.
Right. So I think every case is different. If I'm making Chat GPT, even it might require $1 billion just to get to there, right? So it depends on the product also. But I think more or less, but I think broadly speaking, yes, I think funding should be used when the product market fit has happened and when you want to scale, and that time it can use as a right lever to accelerate the growth.
Okay. Moving slightly macro, your take on the current entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country?
About the consumer goods space, I would say India would see a plethora of new brands upcoming in next 5 years, maybe because it's a population of 1.4 billion people and they deserve choices. Even today, there's only one toilet cleaner on the shelf, or why not anybody else? Only one glass cleaner. So I believe there would be a lot more brands coming in, especially in consumer goods space. Yeah.
Sure.
And the environment has grown supportive. What it was from last 3 years back, today it's more supportive. People are more aware. There are more funds, money coming in. So yeah, I believe it's more supportive right now, and things will go in right direction. More brands coming in. And I also believe there would be many brands which would be coming from India, but for the rest of the world. Okay. Brands, they'll be made in India, but for global brands. Yeah.
Sure.
No, of course, entrepreneurship in India and US, I think it's recognized worldwide. It's one of the highest. I think we have, many entrepreneurs in India. Like everyone is. So I think there's a lot of entrepreneurial energy in India, and I think now the ecosystem is also doing quite well with the angel funding, Series A funding, BEC, a lot of accelerators. So I think there's a lot of support, and the societal support. I think maybe 10 years back, if someone told their parents, I want to do a startup, they would be like looking in a weird way, why this kid? Today, I think they would ask their kid, are you not doing a startup? So I think the society, I think there's a big paradigm shift in also how the society looks at startup. But I would say still, I think people should work on their product and service far longer. I think to create something which is which is truly bit differentiated from the start, rather than just pushing on marketing and some other things. Yeah.
So what do you think, in your view, explains the high failure rates of startups? I mean, a lot of them, numbers are just obnoxiously high in terms of failure rates also.
So I have a philosophical approach here. See, I think if you put a plant, a seed, and give it enough sunlight or water, the trees grow to the sky. It's natural for a tree to grow to the sky. But businesses by nature are an artificial construct. If you see a group of people, shareholders, directors, employees getting together to create profit, a product or service which the society, and so first of all, I think the bar is you have to be profitable. So you have to buy something, some ingredient from someone, you have to pay to the employees, sell it to someone, make money, pay government taxes, And then there is our competition always breathing down your neck, right? If you see the companies which were in Dow Index or BSE Index 50 years back, 40 years back, are no longer there. The constituents change. So by nature, the mortality in businesses is huge. The nature of capitalism is such that businesses, at some point, you are bound to fail. It's a matter of time. You can take 2 years to fail, or 10 years, or 50, or 100. So failure is ingrained in the DNA of a business when they start. So it's just so it is how long you can push it. So and it's a hard job every day.
Sure. Sure. So just building on what you said, so it's inevitability of failure then. So one is not chasing success, one is essentially chasing how to mitigate failure.
On contrary, I would like to say, for me, what a brand or a product is, what you can imagine selling even 40 years from now. Something which is selling today and it's even selling 40 years from now, 50 years from now, you can see people are connecting today, and you can imagine people connecting even then. For at least consumer space, I would say that's a product, and businesses, for a consumer brand, they are there to stay. Like, Maggi, it was being selling in India 10 years ago. It's even favorite today, and even 50 years from now, I don't think a brand which will come and would replace or kill Maggi. It will take its market share, but brands and products would stay. So, yeah.
So, no, I agree with Nikhil. Let me put a more nuanced statement to what I said. See, if you see tech businesses, see, Motorola used to be a very big company, or, Alcatel, Lucent, or for that matter, Nokia, right? They still exist, but in a very diminished way, right? Or and if you see tech businesses, maybe they have a cycle of 10 to 30, 40 years, let's say typically. Brands which Nikhil rightly said, like Hermes brand, has been there for like, let's say 180, 190 years. Yes. So the shelf life of brands here is much longer than tech businesses. But even having said that, I was answering it more philosophically, that even the best of brands, 40, 50 years short, 70 years short, but still will have a life. So the longest running brand, in my opinion, might be Hermes with 180, 190 years of life space. So of course, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But I was answering your question that startups, till they find a very good product market fit and stay resilient, because businesses have to go through cycles of ups and downs. So the promoters and the management who can go through these cycles. Yet it is always that it is facing, the mortality is always facing you, always in your eye all the time. So you have to, but of course brands can easily stay 30, 40, 50, 60 years, much longer than technology businesses.
Sure. So building on your point on surviving mortality being critical, that you raised the point of resilience. And building from that, if there was an advice that you had to give yourselves, your younger selves, when you started the business, what would that be?
I think keep your product service should be truly differentiated, and you should know your own truth, your brand truth, your product truth, your service truth very well, how you are differentiated, who is your customer, and stay with your truth long and keep doing it. And that culture, let's say Indigo says on time. So it has to be, even the internal meetings have to be on time. If we say fresh biryani on order, fresh kebab on order, good quality ingredients, authenticity. So we have to keep living it even in our outlets, with our employees, with our customers, with everything we do. So you have to stay true to who you are in every sense, in every way in the whole organization.
Sure.
Yeah, as a promoter, one should know their business in out, their product in out, entire, like for us, we set up our own machineries. We never had external consultants involved. So we know our business in out. So whenever need be, you can change or you can react to the situation, need of the hour. So I would say in-depth knowledge of the business is really important, when you're going in for something. So that would help in mitigating risk all the time, every day.
So just my last question, and then I'm going to open the floor, which is just building on your two stories, which is basically being true to yourself, understanding the truth of your product, understanding your product inside out. What else would be your final advice to somebody who's wanting to build an entrepreneurial career?
Be ready for the long haul. It's a long, lonely journey. You have to be resilient and patient and brave for a very, very long time. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say time is of the essence. One should not wait. One should just go ahead and start. It's better to learn hard way around. You'll fall one day, you'll fall second day, but I'm sure you'll start walking, you'll start running one day. So time is of the sense. Everything, all opportunities will come back, but time never comes back. So competition is gonna get tougher day by day. So it's better to get started.
Sure. Thank you. On that note, I'll open the floor for questions. Anyone? Please.
Barad. What's your criteria to select tier 2 or tier 3 cities for your new outlets? Like how you scan those properties?
Are you a student here, Namni?
No, I am into real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying how to select tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Yes.
So I can tell you the specific case how we select. So we take a lot of data from the food aggregators in terms of what is their delivery orders per day, per month in that city, that zone. We look at the number of Domino's outlets in that city. So we know how much is the demand for food delivery. And we will, of course, look at the competitive landscape there. We will use Nielsen data of SEC because our product is slightly premium. So we look at the SEC A1 Nielsen data in that city. So by triangulating all that data points, we'll take a call on how many outlets the city can absorb. Yeah.
The two of you come from very different backgrounds, as I see. What would you attribute to the other person as strength, for example, him to him and him to him in running a business?
From what I know of restaurant business, it's a really, really difficult thing to replicate, especially at so many locations. And when you promise same taste, so noting those SOPs down, making those SOPs down, I think that's hats off to Sher. He's been able to do it successfully. So that's one most toughest thing to replicate Indian restaurants.
No, see, I was talking to Nikhil and Soumya like before we were having a meal together, small BBK Biryani. So I think Nikhil, what I understand, he started his first business when he was 19. And interestingly, a restaurant business, right? So, and I think business is in his blood. He understands when we're interacting also, he understands the product, he understands the customers, and he understands the reality, which only can come from very acute and very sharp observation of life, of products, of people, of business. So I think, and sometimes people can go through all their lives studying and working in big corporate and still might not have that acute sense of life, people, businesses, which he has. So I think greatly, appreciative of what he understands and does, and very high level of passion. Yeah.
My chair is in here right now.
Yes.
So, Vishal sir, I understand that you come from a corporate background and you decided to maybe experiment on biryanis. So what was your journey? What was the thought process involved? Did you first risk your own money, setting up your own venture, your own first outlet? Did you appoint a professional consultant or a mentor who had prior business experience, or you probably went on instincts?
No, I think there are three questions to it, so I'll take one by one. I think instinct is, so first thing, I think you said consultant. I don't think if any entrepreneur is deploying consultant to get their business off the ground, I don't think it's going to work really. So I think consultant part, I think the easiest.
An expert, I meant to say an expert in the food and beverage sector or in the restaurant.
And before I forget, of course, I put my own money to start the first few outlets. So before I forget, yes. So I think, but important question, but I'll answer it in a different way. So I come from a I'm an engineer, I'm
Yes.
an MBA, I've done IT business. So I come from in a deep understanding of consumer and F&B business as an investor, as an analyst. But of course, so I have experience of strategy, finance, marketing, organizational building. But of course, F&B ops side, like I think what you're trying to hint, like I of course don't have experience. So instead of founding a consultant or a mentor, my other co-founder, Kaushik Roy, he comes from a F&B background, very vast, 30 years of F&B and very astute gentleman, like very intelligent. So I think what skills you don't have, instead of getting a consultant or a mentor, which will be, few hours a month, then you have to have the co-founders who have the complementary skill set which you might be lacking to get that business off the ground or scale it. But I think initial part, I think it might not be so prudent, because mentorship or consultants can only, of course, during scale up they can help or they can give advice, but you need something in-house as a depository skill, which in-house skills, resident skill, which can help you scale the business. So I think it's not on instinct. Like your last question, did I did on instinct? So I wanted to build a F&B business for sure, a big business. So like I said initially, like burger pizzas have big leaders like Burger Kings or Domino's and other categories. So I chose biryani not on instinct, but on the logic that it's a very deep category. You can be 1,000 crore and still growing very fast, because a very deep category. It doesn't have a India-wide leader or worldwide leader. It's a delivery-friendly category. It's a category which is, I would say, healthier. Like it is gluten-free, unlike a pizza or a burger. It's healthier, more aromatic, flavorsome. So I would say it's more logical than instincts, I would say.
So when you raised funds, generally the VCs, before they put money on the table, they always ask questions on your chemistry with your co-founder. So they become a bit skeptical based on what rapport you have, how many years you know your co-founder. So how did you answer?
I think all these are labels: chemistry, physics, with the co-founder. These are all labels. Finally, VCs generally, but if there are seasoned VCs or PE people, they understand when they meet you for 1 hour or they look at the business model or know the body language, they would know whether, generally I would say, I think there are no set answers, what is the chemistry or such. I wouldn't.
No, did you face that, did you encounter that issue? Because
so you encounter many issues, if I would say, in life. And this is one of them. And I think there is no set answer for that. As long as you are convinced about something and you are truly convinced and you have conviction, the other person will.
Thank you.
This question is for both of you. Like, how difficult it was for both of you to convince your co-founders to see your vision when you started 5 years down the line, when you started, for both of you?
So my co-founders are, we are 3 cousins basically. So we all are of the same age and we used to, gel up together since our childhood. So it was never an issue because we kind of, something I agree on and he disagrees on. Eventually we settle down after a debate because that's the kind of bond we share together. Eventually it's logic. It's everything logic. When we started, we read somewhere that India's per capita consumption for non-alcoholic beverages is less than 5 liters. It's even lower than Pakistan. So, this industry is bound to grow with such big population. So we found a product and we all were convinced that this palette, it will suit across all age groups. We did some blind testings with other people as well for opinions, but eventually if there's something that we disagree on, we have a debate and it's with logics, either I agree to him or they agree to me. So it wasn't an issue, and luckily we are cousins, so we've been off like really well. We know each other really well. Yeah.
So I think the question was, how did you convince the co-founder?
Absolutely.
No, see, I think a lot of these things have to be a natural fit. like I said, we both believe, he coming from F&B, that biryani is a great category, and I coming from an investment background as a logic that it's a great category, and we bring complementary skill set to the table with similar values. And if you need convincing beyond that to someone, then there is an issue by itself. You don't. If it has to be a natural fit, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
So this question is for both of you. Would you recommend entrepreneurial skills being taught at school level? Like these days, there are lots of entrepreneurs who want to start their own startups and flourish in the entrepreneurial world.
No, why not? See, I think these are important skills, and the more ready you are, it is like saying, should you be teaching acting in acting schools, right? So it is a similar kind of question, but I think there are both school of thoughts. There will be some people who are natural actors, but most people in life have to learn things, be it be acting or entrepreneurship. So if you have tools from Excel to what can go wrong or plus, but I would say there should not be a analysis paralysis here, where you need to know certain skills in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of HR, in terms of product development, few things. But I think there's a limit to that. But I think there's, of course, some skills would be quite useful, I would say.
I would agree to sir, rightly said. This is not something that it can't be taught, but obviously it complements when you learn about things, when you're aware at such a young age. So that's a good thing to have, I believe.
Thank you.
Adding on to your thing, Vishalji, like you said, quality is the concern. See, if you see Amul, it has grown in a corporate manner out of Gujarat, right? In the last, I must say, 20 years, right? The difference between Amul and Verka is that Verka puts caustic in their product, right? Milk, but Amul doesn't. So that's why Amul is growing in Punjab also these days. So, which is a concern. It correlates with your thing that you are.
But I don't know this particular part, so I'd like to comment on that.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I know that. That's why I'm saying it. Quality is a concern. Yeah, it's in the same.
Sure, we
Yeah,
have to be high quality, and we believe.
absolutely. Yeah.
The rice we use in biryani by kilo is a 2 years naturally aged premium basmati.
Okay.
It's on a retail prices like above 200 rupees a kg.
Right.
The spices we use are handpicked from Kerala.
Right.
The meats and the vegetables. So we are very big on quality, freshness.
Right.
So that goes without saying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Akash. I'm a PGP student here. Thanks a lot for sharing your stories. My question is for Vishal. It's a two-part question. The first one being that you touched a little bit upon the technology. I'd love to know if you could describe a little how, let's say, specific technology works, maybe in the QC process or anywhere where there's a greater impact that you felt with technology. Secondly, when you were taking your product to, let's say, different cities, for instance, in case of Bangalore or Hyderabad, where there's such a rich culture already, did you tweak your product and what that process looked like for you?
I think good questions, Akash. So first of all, I'll take the second question first. The tweaking is required. See, even when a KFC and a Burger King, see, McDonald's also has to sell a butter chicken kind of burger or a dosa burger here. Very different. I'm just broadly saying this. So let's say when we went to Hyderabad, we realized that people need to eat more rice there than what they eat in North. So our half kg will not work there. People need more rice there and less meat. So we had to tweak it to more rice and less meat. So there are different ways when you go to a new city. So of course the tweaking, given the customer taste profile, is required, right? So that is one, I think. Second is on the tech part. So tech is very important in today's time and age. See, tomorrow, few years later, I'll not be surprised if we have robotic arms in our kitchen, especially if, let's say, we are going international where the labor is expensive. See, today also, if someone went into a kitchen, there are dashboards where every process is monitored. There are timers, there are ringers. So we are controlling it in a way that every process is done in a certain time. And there are AI-enabled cameras which are being watched by a control place where people, so if a step is going wrong, the AI-enabled cameras will also alert the central systems that this step is not taken properly by the, and then there are again mystery audits, a lot of monitoring through tech. Some of these are proprietary, so I'm not engaging in detail. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anish, and I had a question to both of you. Recently, we saw COVID, and COVID was a disaster to hospitality industry. So, are there any strategies that you have placed now that, God forbidden, a COVID situation arises again? So, anything that can help your businesses to survive?
For us, we grew most in COVID times. It's in last 2 years when we went 100x, 2x every year, year on year. So there were challenges when the shops weren't opening, and your universe was almost half closed. Your staff couldn't get out of their homes, but you had to adapt, and since you had to stay viable, you need to there's so many families which are attached to your businesses. They are your distributors, your staff. So you have to figure it out, and so did we. But eventually we did it, and we grew even in the COVID times.
On the maybe, see, I think for any businesses, there will always be times, like I said, businesses are always facing mortality through competition, through adversities like COVID. So you have to be, I think the broader point is being resilient all the time and very lean and nimble. So you when COVID hit, of course, first 2 months we were also badly hit. But then we rose quite fast. If someone went back to those times, April, May 2020, we put out a lot of videos. We put cameras in our kitchen so people can see, the customers can see that it's made in a very hygienic way. And of course, we were more a delivery business than a dine-in, although 10% of our business comes from dine-in, but mostly we were a delivery business, so that helped. And as our handis are sealed and the biryanis are cooked in more than 250 degrees centigrade, and so people were convinced that there will be no virus or bacteria in a sealed handi which is cooked at 250 degrees centigrade, when it is untouched by hand. The food, cooked food, is untouched by hand. So a lot of those communication, if you go back on our Insta, Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn, you'll see those communications, we went very fast. So being nimble, being lean, being resilient as an organization, I think is a must, because there will be a lot of those cycles for any business. Yeah.
One last question: how to find mentors like you, for like people like me, because I just started 3 months back, so we need mentors like you.
I think there are, I think sabko, everyone gets, I think, so I would say sabko apna guru mil jata hai, mentor mil jata hai. I think you have to keep doing. There are a lot of accelerator programs, there are a lot of mentor programs, and you have to keep doing. A good mentor need a good mentee, a good mentee. It's a mutual thing. I think you'll get one, I think, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, there's one more. Sorry. I was too quick.
Good afternoon. My name is Abhishek. I have a question for Mr. Vishal. Nowadays, the entrepreneurs are going for the continental, apart from the Indian, like Burger King and all. So, what are the thoughts for starting in the biryani concept?
The question.
So your question was people are going for continental food.
Yeah. The startup is going for the continental way. So, what are your thoughts for the biryani one, like the Indian one?
So he's saying that according to him, a lot of entrepreneurs are venturing into non-Indian
it's
food.
okay. See, as long as it doesn't matter continental or Indian. See, so Lahori might be Indian, biryani might be Indian, but you can make a great burger or a great Western. See, Red Bull is maybe an Asian-inspired Western drink. I think that's immaterial as long as you have a passion for something, a product or a service. There are yoga entrepreneurs, Western, Caucasian yoga entrepreneurs in US. So where it comes from, the inspiration would be material as long as you have passion for it and you want to build it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A plan to our speakers and our moderator, just to promote sustainability and a gesture from our side to help us to organize this session. So we wanted to do something for National Startup Day, and I think it was a good session where you guys get a chance to interact with the speakers and get to know about their stories. So Professor, I would like you to give our speakers Guraj.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guraj.
One more plant coming. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Professor, to you from us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guys, we have a high tea arrangement here in the co-working space. So I would like you guys to take the networking and the discussions over there.